I noticed the change in her eyes before I noticed anything else. It was subtle, the kind of glint that says someone else is seeing me. I'd seen that look before years ago when she used to look at me that way. But tonight at the party, that spark wasn't meant for me. It was for Daniel, our neighbor. The realization hit me in a quiet, suffocating way. Like standing underwater, watching the world blur above. The night started harmless enough. It was our friend Megan's birthday. A backyard party strung with fairy lights and cheap wine. The kind of gathering where laughter masks secrets and people drink just enough to say too much. My wife, Clara, was radiant in a simple black dress. She wasn't one to crave attention, but tonight she seemed to crave something. Someone beyond the warmth of my hand on her back. Daniel arrived late, carrying a bottle of whiskey and that smug smile he always wore like cologne. He was charming, single, the kind of man who called every woman beautiful, and somehow made it sound sincere. And the moment he showed up, Clara's whole demeanor shifted. Her laugh was louder, her posture straighter. Her eyes followed him like gravity. First I tried to brush it off. Married people flirt, don't they? It's harmless. Just social energy, nothing more. But then she leaned closer. Too close. Her fingers brushed his arm when she laughed. Her drink lingered half full while her attention lingered fully on him. I watched her from across the fire pit. My wife, the woman I'd shared a decade of my life with. Smiling like a teenager rediscovering the thrill of being wanted. My jaw tightened. "You okay?" Megan whispered, noticing the tension on my face. "Yeah," I lied, eyes still fixed on Clara. "Just tired." But I wasn't tired. I was breaking. When I finally approached, Clara was telling Daniel about the cabin trip we took last year. Except her version made it sound like a romantic comedy where I was the boring husband in the background. She turned to me with that familiar, dismissive smirk. "Oh, honey, you remember that trip, right?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "I remember it perfectly." Daniel chuckled, swirling his drink. "Sounds like you guys know how to keep things interesting." "Sometimes," she said, looking him dead in the eye. "Sometimes things get a little too predictable." It was like a slap I couldn't react to in front of everyone. "Clara," I said, lowering my voice. "Can we talk for a second?" She sighed, annoyed. "Can it wait? We're just talking." "Now," I said. She rolled her eyes but followed me toward the side of the yard, near the fence where the laughter from the party faded into the hum of the night. "What's your problem?" she hissed. "My problem," I repeated. "You're openly flirting with our neighbor in front of everyone. What am I supposed to do? Smile and fetch you another drink?" Her arms crossed. "You're overreacting. It's just conversation." "It's not just conversation, Clara. You're touching him. Laughing like you're on a date." She scoffed. "You're jealous. That's your issue. You've gotten so insecure lately." The words stung. Not because they were true, but because they were her defense. "Insecure?" said. "No, Clara. I'm just watching my wife act like I don't exist." She stared at me, her jaw tightening. "You always make everything so heavy. Can't I just have fun?" "Fun?" I said bitterly. "If that's what you call it." Before I could say more, she turned and walked back toward the fire pit, her heels clicking against the patio like punctuation marks in an argument I couldn't win. And then she sat back next to Daniel, like our conversation never happened. I stayed by the fence, numb, watching the flames reflect in the whiskey bottle he brought. Every laugh she gave him was another crack in my chest. Every glance, another unspoken confession. I left early that night. She stayed. When she came home past midnight, I was still awake. The sound of the key turning in the lock made my stomach knot. "Why are you still up?" she asked, her voice slightly slurred. "Waiting," I said simply. "For what? For you to come home, or to decide not to?" She rolled her eyes, dropping her purse on the counter. "God, you're being dramatic. Did he walk you home?" She froze. "What? Daniel. Did he walk you home?" Her hesitation was too long. Too careful. "No," she finally said. "He didn't." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But she wouldn't meet my eyes. The next morning, I found her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. I hadn't planned to look. I really hadn't. But the doubt was suffocating, like trying to breathe underwater again. I opened her messages. There he was. Daniel. Daniel, had a great time last night. You looked amazing. Clara, you're sweet. Don't tell my husband you said that. Daniel, your secret's safe. You make it hard not to notice you though. Clara, stop. You're trouble. Daniel, you like trouble. Clara, maybe. My hand trembled as I scrolled. The thread stretched back weeks. Small jokes, playful teasing, subtle innuendos that grew bolder over time. And then one message that hollowed me out completely. Daniel. Wish you'd stayed longer after the party. Clara, next time. I set the phone down slowly, feeling my chest tighten. The shower stopped. I sat there, staring at nothing, listening to the sound of her footsteps approach. Morning, she said, towel around her shoulders. You're up early. I didn't respond. Something wrong. I looked at her, the woman I married, the one I built a life with, and all I could see was distance. I saw your messages, I said quietly. Her face drained of color. What messages? Don't do that. My voice broke slightly. Don't insult me more than you already have. She swallowed, gripping the towel tighter. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, Clara. Silence. Were you planning something? Yes. Or was the flirting just to see if you could still get attention? Tears welled up, but I couldn't tell if they were guilt or just fear of being caught. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she whispered. It was just I felt unseen. You've been distant for months, and Daniel. He noticed me. I laughed bitterly. So you punished me by becoming someone else's entertainment. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. Her lip trembled. I'm sorry. But the apology felt hollow, like a word said too many times to still mean anything. For days we barely spoke. The house became quiet, cold, like living with a ghost who still breathed beside me. She tried to explain, to justify, to shift blame between apologies, but none of it mattered anymore. Something inside me had snapped. I wasn't angry the way I thought I'd be. I wasn't shouting or breaking things. I was just done. Love, I realized, doesn't die loudly. It fades quietly, like a candle running out of wax. A week later, I saw Daniel mowing his lawn. He waved. I didn't. That night, Clara sat beside me on the couch, trying again. I ended it, she said softly. He texted and I blocked him. I swear. I nodded without looking up. Good. Can we fix this? She whispered. I don't know, I said. I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore. Tears slid down her cheeks. I made a mistake. I just wanted to feel wanted again. And in the process, I said quietly, you made me feel like I was never enough. She broke then, sobbing into her hands, repeating I'm sorry like it could undo everything. But forgiveness isn't magic. It's a choice. One I wasn't ready to make. 3 months later I moved out. She tried to stop me, begged me to go to therapy, to rebuild, to find us again. But I couldn't rebuild something built on lies. The day I left, she stood by the door, eyes red. You still love me, she said. I do, I admitted. That's the problem. It's been a year now. I live alone in a small apartment downtown. The nights are quiet, the mornings are slow. Sometimes I still reach across the bed and expect to feel her warmth there. But it's just cold sheets and silence. I hear Daniel moved away. Clara still lives in the house, alone. We don't talk anymore. Not out of anger, but because there's nothing left to say. Sometimes I think back to that night at the party, the laughter, the lights, the way her eyes sparkled for someone else. And I realize that was the moment everything changed. Not when I read the messages. Not when I left. It ended the moment she stopped seeing me. And maybe, in a strange way, that's what betrayal really is. Not just the breaking of trust, but the quiet turning away of someone who once looked at you like you were the whole world.